The first transition in Surya Namaskar A, or in the whole entire Ashtanga primary series, is moving from Trini into Chatwari. So that's moving from this half lift position into Chaturanga Dandasana. So for right now, I'm just going to focus on the transition, and then we'll look at the other postures at either end in some other videos. So from Trini, there are lots of different ways to move into Chatwari, into Chaturanga Dandasana. So from here, we usually bring the palms flat if they aren't already, so that we're ready to bear weight. And then from here, we can either just step back into a plank, and that's the first, probably the simplest version. The next version is from Trini. Again, we plant the hands down, and we can just do a little jump. So from here, you bend the knees and jump back into plank, or you can jump straight into the bottom of the plank. And then if you want to work a little bit more on like that shoulder strength and controlling the transition from Trini into Chaturanga Dandasana, where you get that like floating quality, you can come from Trini, plant the hands, and before shooting the legs back, first think about moving the hips over the shoulders. So again, bend the knees a little bit to lift the hips over the shoulders. And you can just do that a couple times to get used to that feeling. And so just taking into consideration that you need flexible hamstrings for this, you need flexible shoulders, you need strong shoulders. So this could be an opportunity to work on any of those skills in this like in-between moment. So it's worth not rushing through it and really moving through this transition consciously and with intention. So after you get used to bringing the hips over the shoulders while keeping the thighs on the chest, that's important. So you don't want to come into like a pike where you move the thighs away from the chest. Think about hips over the shoulders, thighs to your chest. Once you get comfortable there, you think about shooting the legs back into the high plank or the low plank. So, Trini, plant the hands, hips over the shoulders, thighs to your chest, and then shoot the legs back. And so for me, it feels like the shooting the legs back feels like the hands are pressing down and pushing forward a little bit. And that gives you the energy to shoot the legs back. From the hips over the shoulders, press the hands down and forward, and that shoots the legs back. I like to land in a high plank because I've just gone through a lot of shoulder injuries, and that just feels like safer for my shoulder, so I can come into high plank, make sure my shoulders are integrated, the shoulders are moving down the back before I move into Chaturanga Dandasana. But you also have the option of ending with the elbows bent. So in that case, you would need to start bending the elbows as the legs are shooting back, so that when the feet land, you land in that Chaturanga Dandasana position. But I think it's just harder to like maintain the integrity of Chaturanga Dandasana if you land at the bottom of the plank. If you have very refined patterns and your shoulders are really safe, then I think it's okay. So just to review, we're moving from Trini, this half lift position, and as we move back into Chaturanga Dandasana, we want to maintain the residue of this, maintain this open heart of Trini, because then we're going into a super strength-based posture. We're moving down into the floor, and we don't want to totally close the heart. So remember this imprint of really opening the heart as you move into the transition into Chaturanga Dandasana. And that last version of the transition, where you lift the hips over the shoulders and shoot the legs back, it requires a lot of shoulder strength, and it's a really advanced transition. I just want to emphasize that before I wrap it up, because it requires a lot of strength in the shoulders, a lot of flexibility in the shoulders, a lot of flexibility in the hamstrings. So take your time with it. And if it feels difficult to control all of those movements, then just start simple. Just start with jumping small jumps and moving back, and small jumps. It's also kind of scary. There's also that fear factor of bringing the hips over the shoulders because you're scared that you're gonna fall over. So just ease into that, and then eventually that will allow you to control the transition into Chaturanga Dandasana. All right, good luck.